On this show today, we're going to talk about Remy going from a 3D to a 2D show or ride, and it's happening relatively quickly. It's happening, like, I think, right in the middle of your stay coming up next month.
Yeah,
like 3 days after.
that we had some interesting conversations in the house today and how this might impact things.
We are going to talk about your initial trip plans also later in the
Yes.
show, where you actually going to venture into the world of hoppers, and I am going to guess that you will never ever look back, and you will have hoppers for every trip moving forward, unless you get a ticket deal that aren't hoppers.
Right,
So
sure,
that'll
sure.
be the only caveat to that. We're going to talk about some Universal testing different individual express passes, mimicking what Disney is doing. The return of DBC Recommends, which we'll have that at the top of the show. And we don't have a lot of construction updates, but we also have a lot of construction updates. So BioReconstruct pumped out a lot of great quality pictures. We're going to be talking about a couple of those individually, but a lot of work being done in some of those specific sites. And if you don't mind, leave a comment below with what other kind of topics you like us to cover. I never asked that before because I think we satisfy everybody's conversation, but maybe we're not covering something for some. What is our DBC recommend of the week?
Yeah, so there were a few things that came up this week. I think we're going to hit one this week, one next week, that weren't really like news items, but they were interesting. And I thought it would make sense to kind of make sure everyone who hasn't seen it yet maybe checks it out. So the one I wanted to talk about today is that Blog Mickey put out an article where Mike on there is sort of taking an overlay of the water management permits that were just filed for the area. I guess it's for like 33 acres of area in the northwest corner of the Magic Kingdom, basically for all the work being done on Frontierland and beyond. And I thought it was just like kind of an interesting concept. Obviously, it's a lot of very broad speculation. Please do not take any of this as fact or anything like that. But basically what his theory is that where there's sort of drainage lines, those need to have access to them. And so they're probably things like walking paths and things like that. They're not going to have major structure on top of them. And if you look at other areas of the parks, that kind of holds true. So his thought process is where there are drainage lines, that's where there's going to be walking paths or entrance ways and stuff like that into both Piston Peak and also into Villains Land eventually. So I just thought it was kind of an interesting concept. He goes through the whole thing and he kind of does the overlay. So what we already knew, there was going to be like a big walkway that sort of goes from the Haunted Mansion over towards Big Thunder Mountain. And it looks like then there'll be like one major way into Piston Peak, which matches up with the illustration.
Let's start there, right?
Yeah.
So you got to go on Blog Mickey, find the article. It's been posted all over the place on Twitter last week, so it's hard to miss.